All right, hey everybody, how's everybody doing? This is Sue from Ravenscape Crafts. Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a minute since I did like a normal video. I have some little bit of stuff to catch up with. So I didn't even take a picture yet. So how's everybody doing? How's it going? It's a Tuesday here. It's a little chilly. It was like beautiful over the weekend. It was like hot last week here and in Pennsylvania, and then like last weekend, Saturday really nice, and then Sunday it got rainy, cool, and now it's freezing cold. So I hope you guys are doing well. I had done my yarn haul video, and then now we're doing. Oh, and then I did that video with husband. So I hope you like a little bit different. So I hope you guys enjoyed them. And then I just wanted to get back to hopefully doing a little bit of a regular vid here with you guys. Let me tilt you down a little bit. Hopefully you can see this. Isn't this cool? This is for like great Ren Fair cosplay. A little hood. So I hope you guys are doing good. I hope this is. All right. So what do we need to talk about? Oh, so we're talking about the hood. Check out the hood. I finished. This is the only thing I finished. Ugh, it has been. Ugh. I have some updates and stuff for you guys, so we'll talk. We'll chit chat. But I wanted to do this video and show you this. Oh, I'm sorry, it keeps going in and out. I hate when it does that. And I have some books to share with you this week. And because I did finish reading 3 books. I didn't get as much crocheting done as I wanted to. I don't know why. I got this done. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not even gonna make excuses for myself. I'm not gonna make excuses. We're not making excuses. We're not being hard on ourselves. That is our goal right now. Right? We're not gonna make excuses. We're not gonna be hard on ourselves. Right? Sometimes we just don't get as much done as we want to. But other than that, like I said, this is all. I think this is all I finished. Um, yeah, yeah, that's all I finished. I am working on a second one of these in a brown. I'll show it to you. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit because it's stuck under the. It's helping prop you up. So, um, yeah. So I hope you guys have been doing well. I hope. Did you guys like my video with my husband? We decided to do that. So let me explain a little something, okay? Um, so my husband does a podcast. Before we get into the books I read and stuff this week, and my other stories, my husband does a podcast called Table Ready Painting, and he does um, miniatures that you saw in the video and stuff like that. And then he also does another podcast which is Star Wars related, and he's been guest on a couple of other podcasts. So his podcasts are his Star Wars podcast is very like regulated, and they're very like asking questions back and forth. The ones he's been guests on have been very like regulated. His podcast that he does is like it's by like he does it every week. It's weekly, but like one week he does where he talks about Warhammer 40,000, and then the following week he does a sorry, there's a bus pulling up outside. He does a like a paint night or game night or something like that. So, but when he does his Warhammer 40K night, is like his informational nights, it's very scripted. Like he writes a script out ahead of time. He writes down everything he's going to talk about. I don't do that, okay? As you guys all know, anybody who's been here even for like a minute knows my podcast, my YouTube channel is very loosey goosey. And the idea behind it was that we sit and, like, okay, for those of you that don't know, my husband and I have been together for 20 some years. At this point, it doesn't really, and I've known him for even longer than that. And I think I've told the story of how we met and how we got married and stuff on this channel before, but we started out as friends, okay? Before we ever dated or anything, I knew him in high school. He did not go to my high school. He's actually a few years older than me. He actually grew up not even around where I did, but we met through other acquaintances. So I knew him from when I was like 16, okay? And now we didn't get together until we were in our 20s, but I knew him. I was friends with him for a long time before we ever dated. And to this day, 27 years later, 30 years that I've known him, over 30 years that I've known him, we're still friends, okay? We're still friends first, basically, and he's my best friend in the whole wide world. And we talk every day. Like, we talk at lunchtime. He comes home for lunch. We sit here and chit-chat for 45 minutes where he's home. We talk every night about stuff. Every single day. I don't think in the last 20-some years that a day has gone by that we haven't sit and chit-chatted about stuff. So, that being said, I said we should do a podcast, or not a podcast, but a vlog or whatever, just like us hanging out. I came out with this idea a while ago. I said I've seen people on other channels and stuff do, like, where they just do, like, kind of like a hang, you know what I mean? And I'm like, who better than us? Like, I mean, I'm gonna say I mean. I'm sorry. I'll explain. My brain is a little. I'll explain that in a little bit. So, like, we're that's us. Like, every night we just sit here and chat. He's my best friend, and I said we should try that. We should try, like, to do some videos or some lives, and just hang out and chat. So he's like, do you really think people want to see that? I said, look, I watch a lot of, like, stuff on, TikTok, YouTube, and stuff like that. And it's like couples doing these things. I said, I think we should try it and see how it works out. And I mentioned this to him probably 6 months ago. And he's been, like, sort of coming along to the idea here and there. And he finally said to me one night, like, do you want to try to do that? And I'm like, oh my God, today, my brain is like, it's like malfunctioning. So, he said that we should, I'm so sorry. He said, should we try that? And I said, sure. Now, he brought it, okay, he hit me with this at the last minute. It was the night he was supposed to record for his channel. And he's like, do you want to do it tonight? So I was not prepared mentally to do it that night. And then the minute this is funny, you guys are going to like, the minute we start, I said, now this is supposed to be like a, just like a hangout, like the two of us hanging out, just having a conversation about crafting, okay? Because we're both crafters. I said we'll just make it it's about crafting. So, oh my God, my hair, I so apologize, that's my hair. But, so, we start recording, and immediately he goes into interview mode. It's like, so, what are you doing? I'm like, cut. I did not sign up to get interviewed. We're supposed to be having a conversation. Not, you ask me questions and I have to answer them. Like, no. I don't want to do that. It's not an interview. I'm not being interviewed for your channel. We're doing a video for both of our channels, and it's supposed to be just like a conversation. So he's like, okay, let's restart. Till we restart. Immediately starts asking me questions. I'm like, dude, this is not what I signed up for. I'm not going to start it if you're going to do this. I don't want to be interviewed the whole time. Like, it's supposed to be natural. And when he's doing the interviewing, he sounds very unnatural. He's very like, so, blah. And I'm like, the whole point is to make it more natural, more flowy, you know, trying not to sound so fake, you know? And he says, oh, okay. Well, it's 4 times we started the video before we got that last take. And still, when we started, he starts asking me questions, and that's why I'm like, woosah. I'm like, dude, like. So I think we brought it back around. But he starts saying that, and then I started getting annoyed, like, cause it's been 4 or 5 times that we tried it. I'm just like, this is not what I signed up for. So I apologize if it was awkward in the beginning. That's what happened. I think we did bring it back around, and we did have a nice conversation after that, though. So, on to... So let's do books first. Okay, let's do books. Then we'll get to the story about why I'm having little trubs. All right, so what have I read lately? I finished 3 books, actually. Where is the first one? Okay, so the first one I finished was Stephen King, If It Bleeds. This is a book of short stories from, let me look what it, Stephen King from 2020. I had not read it yet, and this is 4 short stories. It is 450 pages. They were all good. There's Mr. Harrigan's Phone. That one was kind of creepy. The Life of Chuck. That one was Stephen King messed up. Then If It Bleeds was, if any of you are Stephen King fans, was a Holly Gibney story. So Holly Gibney, and maybe some of you guys have seen the show too, was a Mr. Mercedes character from the Miss Mercedes. There was a trilogy of Mr. Mercedes books, and Holly Gibney was a character in those books. And then after that, well, the Mr. Mercedes books that trilogy ended, and so did one of the characters, obviously not Holly. Then Holly got her own book, and then this is Holly number 2. So I didn't know that was in there. I was all excited when I saw Holly Gibney is in here. So this I really thoroughly enjoyed. I like Stephen King, but I have to be in the right headspace to read Stephen King. I have to be in the right mindset, because sometimes, for 2 reasons. Sometimes he gets a little windy when describing things, okay? Which I love, and sometimes it's a lot, if you know what I'm saying. So I can't be in an irritated mood when I read Stephen King, or I am going to be like, oh my God, it's been 10 pages. We get it, you know? We get what the can of Coke looks like. Can we move on? Alright, where was I at? So I was talking about Stephen King. I said, and then the other reason I sometimes can't, thing just stopped. The camera stopped. I had to start it again. So the other reason I can't always read Stephen King is because his books are a mind, if you know what I'm saying. Like, they screw with your head, and they always leave me thinking about stuff, which is a good thing, a really good thing. I mean, some of his books have been like life changing for me. Honestly, they've made me think in a different perspective of things. But if I'm not in the right headspace for that, it's not great. You know what I mean? It doesn't have the same punch as if I'm in a good headspace for it. So I was in the right headspace. It was amazing. Loved it. And then I also finished the next Dungeon Crawler Carl book, which was now I can't even. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I got a call from the agency. So, yeah. So, let's take. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. So, the second book I read was The Butcher's Masquerade, which is a Dungeon Crawler Carl book by Matt Dinniman. This is book 4, I think. 5. Yeah, 5. Book 5. The Butcher's Masquerade. These books, again, are amazing. I finally got, funny story about them. So I told my husband, these are totally up my husband's alley too. I'm enjoying them tremendously, but I know he'd enjoy them too. So I told him, like, he has to read them, but the man reads slower than molasses in Jan, you know what I'm saying? And he only reads right before he goes to bed, and he's the kind of person who lays down and is asleep within 5 minutes. So he sleeps with his books more than he reads them, do you know what I'm saying? So he basically only got through, like, less than 100 pages in weeks, and I'm like, dude, I need you to, like, we need to talk about these books, because they're way too much fun. And so he ended up finally getting an Audible subscription, and now he listens to the first full book at work, because he can, especially when he's working on, like, long jobs, he can put a headphone in and listen. So he's totally enjoying the audiobooks, and he says the audiobooks are really good. I'm not a super audiobook person, but he's absolutely loving them. So if you're not a super reader, consider the audiobooks. They're only on Audible, unfortunately, so you can't get them from the library or whatever. The regular books you can get at the library, but the audiobooks are exclusively on Audible, so you can only listen to them on Audible. But total recommendation. These are hilarious, entertaining. They're amazing. You hear something in the background. Logan just got home from school. So, and then the last book I read was A Gypsy in Auschwitz, which was really good. This is an easy read. I got this one from the Hamilton books that I was telling you guys about in another video. $5. And we all know I have, if you've been around this channel much, you know I have an obsession with World War II. So I like reading perspectives I love reading perspectives of people that were in camps. And this one did not disappoint. This one was Otto Rosenberg. Their story about, you know, when we hear about the Holocaust, many, many times we're taught and learn that, you know, it was Jewish people that were exterminated in the Holocaust, but a lot of times we forget that there was a lot of other people that were put into the concentration camps, and a lot of other ones that were, you know, exterminated. And the gypsies were a big one, and they're not, obviously we don't call them gypsies anymore. I'm only calling them gypsies because that's what they called them in the book. We call them Rwanis. But they were a big group of people that were taken along with the Jewish people, and most of them did not survive the concentration camps. So it was a good reminder. It was a good story. you know, I always tell my kids, I tell them, you know, no matter how many accounts I've read of the Holocaust, of World War II, I learn something new every time, which is why I keep reading these books. And I get something out of them. And again, I feel it's important to remember the Holocaust because, you know, it's a time and these people's stories are all we have left of it. And I think every single person that's written a book has their own account of what happened. Not one person had the same experience, identical experience. I mean, maybe some that just got taken off the trains and right into the chambers, but even arguably so. So I do get something different out of each book. And the one that hit me with this one, and I'm going to share it with you, is toward the end of the book, they were talking about going to the cemetery and how, well, they were talking about after the war, which again is something that we don't talk about a lot, that people don't talk about, and I hope you guys don't mind, I'm going to go off on a little bit of rant. You know, because the camps were terrible, the war was terrible. Nobody is brushing over that. What people went through during World War II in most of Europe was terrible. What people in concentration camps and stuff went through was horrific and disgusting and awful. But a lot of times we also forget the fact that after World War II ended, it didn't just like poof, Europe was fine again. It was hard. Like these people were living in ravaged areas. From most of, you know, London was destroyed. Big parts of England and UK were destroyed. Most of France was devastated. Through Poland, through Italy, parts of Africa that a lot of people forget about were decimated. Of course, Germany was completely decimated. Parts of, there was so many parts of Europe that got, Hungary. I know I'm forgetting places. And then that's not even including what happened in Russia, what happened in Ukraine, which again is another one that doesn't get talked about as much. These areas were destroyed. Most of these people's lives were completely upended. The people who were in the concentration camps or who were put into the ghettos, their homes were taken. They didn't have homes to go back to. A lot of them didn't have family members. Some of them didn't have anybody left. This man was lucky enough. He found his mother eventually out of, obviously, like, the Romani families are still to this day very close-knit families, where a lot of, like, my family's not like that, where they would, as a whole, brothers, sisters, cousins, grandmothers, parents, all live in the same area and all help each other out. And, like, close by, like, close, And this guy, I mean, out of all of his uncles, aunts, cousins, parents, grandmother, he only found his mother ever after the concentration camps. So that's a brutal realization. And then again, these people had nothing. Every single thing that they ever owned was gone. Going up. WWII. Everything they ever owned was gone. Every personal belonging, every bit of money. these people were living in caravans in this story. Those were gone. I mean, the place where they had parked their caravan had been bombed during the war. So every single thing they ever had was gone. And you had to start from scratch. And the problem with starting from scratch was nobody had anything. The general public didn't have anything because trade routes were completely destroyed. Train tracks, roads, buildings, farms. These things were all destroyed. Food was scarce. There wasn't, so many of the farms were completely, their farmland was destroyed. Their crops were destroyed. Now these people had to start from scratch. The animals that were used for food and for everything else were either used to feed soldiers or taken for other purposes. It really destroyed their, it was not easy for anybody. And I mean, anybody. And I think that's something we always forget when we hear about like World War II and stuff like that. How many decades? In fact, there are places in Europe that still have damage from World War II. Now let's think. World War II ended in 1945. It's 2026. And there are still places in Europe where you can see damage from World War II. And not places that are preserved, places that still have damage that were never rebuilt from World War II. I'm just saying. And places where you can still see buildings that were repaired post World War II. There's a lot of that too. There's a lot of places that you can see the line where they like rebuilt a building in the older sections of some of these places in Europe. So that being said, I'm sorry I got off on a little rant. I could talk about this all day, all night for weeks on end. But the part that I wanted to share with you that I got out of this book was there. He talked about going back to, because he was born and raised in Berlin, so he wanted to go back to Berlin. A lot of camp refugees did not go back to Germany at all, or Berlin, or their homes, because of what happened with the Nazis. But he was born and raised in Berlin, so he wanted to go back there and see what, if he could find anybody. He didn't know anywhere else, except for the camps. Now, he spent 6 years in the camps, So he went back and he found his mom, who was living back in Berlin. And, of course, now it's the awkwardness of, like, some of these people were people from the camps, not the prisoners. Do you know what I'm saying? They were the ones running the camps. Now, a lot of the people that ran things, like the higher ups, were found earlier on, but there was a lot of just regular German soldiers and stuff that were running some of these camps, some of the SS and stuff like that. And they were now, because when Germany lost, I'm just telling you this in case you don't know. If you know, just roll your eyes and okay. But when Germany lost, a lot of the people who were Nazis, they completely burned their uniforms, destroyed their stuff. Any kind of things that they had that were Nazi affiliated, their uniforms and stuff like that, they burned them. They put them into rivers. They got rid of them, buried them, because that was not a good thing to be anymore. So now you're marking among these people, and all right, I promise I'm getting there. So his thing that he said in this book was, when you go into a cemetery, every tombstone says, loving mother, caring father, wonderful person, tells you all these people's, wonderful this, wonderful that, wonderful father or son or whatever. He's like, do you ever wonder, where's all the bad people? Like, if every single one of these people was amazing, we all know that's not true. We all know there's bad people in the world. What happens to all the bad people? Yeah. They're buried there under the amazing tombstone. I'm like, yeah, he's right, and I never occurred to me to think of it that way, to think like, even if you did terrible things in your life, you're probably still a good person to somebody in your world, and they're the ones who are going to be burying you. Mind blown. I have not been able to get that out of my head since I read it. So, this is why I read books. So that's what I read. So now I can put these books away. That's what I've read recently. Alright, so then we'll get to my story, and then I promise I'll let you guys go. So, I think the last time we talked, you've missed so much. I think the last time we talked was before I had, So, first things first, we got to get to, how did my appointment go with the new OBGYN that I went to last Wednesday? So, let's just say, I don't think I talked to you guys since then, did I? So if I did, I apologize, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about it anyway. So, I got her to acknowledge the fact that I had endometriosis, adenomyosis, and fibroids. Did she seem to care about that? No. No. So, she basically told me that I'm almost in menopause, so there's really not any point to doing anything about it. When I tried to explain to her that that wasn't really acceptable because, A, I've done my research and it doesn't fix crap. I mean, it will fix some of the problem, like the heavy periods, but that's about it. It will not do anything for the endometriosis. It will stall out the adenomyosis, and of course the fibroids won't be a problem. So I'll give her that. The fibroids won't be a problem. But if the uterus is in fact, I'm sorry if this is TMI, if the uterus is in fact pushing on, because it's triple the size it should be, and that's what's pushing on things in my pelvis, causing the pain, well, it's not going to shrink and go away. It's just not going to get any bigger. So, that's a problem. And then, of course, if it's endo, it doesn't go away. It doesn't even stop being a problem. So when I brought that up, she's like, well, she gave me a whole bunch of choices as to what we could do. And of course, I just want the stupid hysterectomy, which she said is a last resort. And then when I said, well, look, to be quite honest with you, if the hysterectomy is the possibility of a fix, I would start with the hysterectomy. And she's like, oh, well, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're not doing that. Yeah. She's like, we're not doing that. Because she's like, you could end up with, if you're, who knows how bad your endometriosis is, you could end up with a colostomy bag. I don't think you want that. And I'm like, to be quite honest, if I could walk, I'd take this stupid colostomy bag. I don't want one. In no way do I want one. But I feel like having a colostomy bag and being able to walk around and do what I need to do and not be in constant searing pain 24 hours a day that is, been causing other problems now. So, I'm on birth control. I'm on birth control. She put me on a mini pill. I started it last Thursday. Because I really needed more problems. Now I am dizzy. I am extremely tired all the time. I slept all day yesterday, off and on. I slept the whole night before. Well, I mean, as good a sleep as I get with being in pain. And last night, and yesterday morning, I got up at 6:30. Yeah, 6:30. By 9:30, I was asleep. And I slept till 12 o'clock. I got up, I ate lunch, because I hadn't eaten breakfast, because I also been getting bouts of nauseous, and real bad cramps, which, no, just cramps all by themselves. So, I woke up and had lunch, because I couldn't eat breakfast because I was so nauseous from the pill. I had lunch with Todd till like 1, so he leaves here at 1 o'clock, and then my aide left at 1. I laid down right after she left and slept until 2:30 when my son came home. Got up, talked to him. Other son came home at 3:30. Talked to him. Or no, a little after 3. Talked to him. He went upstairs. I went back to sleep. Slept till 5. No joke. Got up, finally, and was still exhausted. Like I hadn't slept a wink. Finally, when Todd came home, he made dinner and stuff like that, and I did manage to stay up until about 10 o'clock. And then I was ready to go to sleep again. I was ready to go to sleep right then and there. I was so tired. And today, same, I can't even think straight. I'm so tired. And look at me. I look at my bags under my eyes. Like, for having slept so much in the last 24 hours. Now, I didn't sleep today. I've been forcing myself to stay awake today because I slept all night again. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. And I know it's the pills because it's the only thing that's changed. And I should say, so the pills I'm on are, if you're not sure, like if you don't know, they're called mini pills, so they're only progesterone. There's no estrogen in them. Because she's like, well, I don't think you need, and I'm like, no, I don't want estrogen because that's just going to make things worse. And she's like, well, it could make things better. And I'm like, is it though? Like, I don't know, you're the doctor. She's like, I don't think estrogen's the right thing. So she put me on progesterone, which I was on the Depo-Provera shot for like 13 years, 12, I don't know. It was over 10 years. Let's just put it that way. I don't remember at this point. And I had a lot of side effects from that. But of course, I stayed on it for all that time because to be honest with you, I stayed on it for the birth control part of it, but more importantly than that, because my periods were so bad that the side effects were better than the periods. You know, it gave me my life back to some extent, even though when I would get the shot, I was absolutely crazy for the first like 3 to 4 weeks. Now, my concern is like the depot shot was every 3 months. And when I got it, the first 3 weeks, I would be, oh my goodness, my emotions were like cry 1 second, pissed off the next, sad next. It was crazy. It was like, and then happy, and then sad, and then mad, and then, like, they went the gambit, and I had no control over them for, like, the first 3 weeks, and different levels, but crazy all the same. I was crazy for the first 3 weeks, every time I got the shot. Now, my question is I take this pill every day. What, is this going to be like this forever? Because I can tell you, like, all weekend, I was irritated by everything. Everything is irritated. Like, if somebody breathed near me too loud, I was like, please stop breathing. So I know I'm like, and then now I'm tired on top of it. So I'm irritated by everything, and then I'm tired when I'm tired, I lose some of my filter. So when I'm more awake, I know I'm being a female dog, you know what I'm saying? Where then when I'm tired, I don't care as much. So I'm gonna pre-apologize to my family if they ever watch this, that I'm gonna be a holy, for until we see. I'm gonna give these pills a couple of weeks. She wants me to give them 3 months, and then call her and see how they work out. So we'll see. Hopefully we all survive that one. Oh, I'm sorry. I should not joke about that, but this was hard enough when I was not in perimenopause and already dealing with so much crap. So I'm trying. And the worst part is I don't like to just like Google everything, because you can come up with the weirdest crap. So I ended up joining a Facebook group, and I know before, just let me finish. I'm going to join some Facebook groups, and they're exclusive for women with endometriosis, okay? And, or adenoids, that's included in it, and stuff like that. And I put it out to them. And, the heartbreaking part is, and people did not give me bad information. Let's just say that. I did get some information. The problem is there are specialists that specialize in endo, and the problem I'm running into with them, the ones, there's not many in the U.S. There's maybe like 12 good ones in the entire United States. So not only are they incredibly hard to get into, but they don't take the insurance I have. None of them. Yeah. And they have years waiting lists to get to. So I don't feel like that's really an option. You know what I'm saying? I need something, so I have to figure something else out in the meantime. I don't know if I need to find another doctor. I've been to 2 different OBGYNs. I need to find somebody who's actually willing to listen. Or if I just try this for now, I don't know. I did not really care for this doctor, but I didn't hate her as much as the last one. I don't know. I'm trying. We're going to try that. And then, as if that wasn't enough, last Friday, I had, I know I didn't tell you guys about this. my aide had kind of enough. The agency's been pushing her, and the lady who has been my coordinator has been, let's just say, not the best with communications between anybody or handling things well. And Friday, the field supervisor came to do my 3-month visit, and all heck broke loose. And oh my god, yeah, it was a hot mess. Why does this have to happen? There was screaming, there was yelling. It was all handled so unprofessionally. I can't even believe it's wild. But yeah. So I I was a ball stressed Friday night because I think I talked to 4 different people from the agency. My aide was all mad. The it was just not handled well. I don't want to get into the details. It was a lot. It was a lot. I I mean, some of it there was some was a I think that this part didn't involve me. Some was a misunderstanding, and then there was another huge misunderstanding because when my coordinator for my county coordinator came to visit the prior week, I told her about the different aides that I had and the issues I had with them. So when she sent an email to my aid company, the company that the company that does my aids, she mentioned problems with my aids, and they took it to mean problems I was having with my current aid, which was not the case. Most of the problem I had was with prior aids. The real problems I have had, and let's just say this, most of the problems I've had with this agency is with the people at the office. Not handling things properly. So that was a whole, I don't even want to get into it. Like, they're blaming her. I'm like, no, they're not understanding what I'm saying. Like I don't understand how to tell you this more than one time. The whole thing was just handled. So I said to Todd, like, having run an office, been an office manager in my life, this place gives me just so much. I'm like, this place is run so poorly. It's not even funny. You know, like, just let me just give you an example. So I won't tell you what happened because I know better. But there was a mix-up with my aide's payroll, okay? Now, I don't know the rules that they have. Every every place is different for how their pay structure works. Okay, that's fine. But regardless, I do think she doesn't quite understand the pay structure because it is kind of weird, but I worked at car dealerships. You want to see weird pay structures? Good Lord. Doing salespeople and sales managers pay. Oh, it's a nightmare. People work off commissions with bonus levels, and it's ugly. So I do think there was a miscommunication. I don't know on whose part, because again, I've said I'm not defending or whatever, but somebody screwed something up. And regardless, there was a screw up. And, you know, but instead of like handling it properly, there was screaming, there was yelling, there was accusing on both sides. And then, I mean, they're telling me about all the problems, and then the manager calls and tells me about the payroll problems. And I'm like, you shouldn't be talking. Like, I used to do payroll. I was the backup payroll person. I didn't do payroll full time. No, good Lord. I did figure out pay, but I didn't do the actual, like, nitty gritty payroll stuff with the taxes and the stuff regularly. I was the backup. So, there's, like, a lot to payroll and stuff like that. And none of these people had a clue. Like, and you're telling me, the client, about payroll problems? How unprofessional. I mean, the hard part about doing payroll is that you can't say anything. Like, when you realize, like, how much certain people are making, and you're like, oh, you got it. The only person you can talk to is the other payroll person, because, they know it too. And you're like, especially when they're hiring people doing the same kind of job you are doing, and they're making a lot more than you, and you've been there for a while, you're like, but you can't say anything. I mean, do you know how pissed off? I mean, the lady who did payroll, 100%, okay, she was with the company for 40 years, and they were hiring people to make more than she was, okay? I can say that now, because she's well retired, and it doesn't make a difference anymore. But her and I were just talking about that. And she had to keep that yap shut. I saw it, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they're going to pay her more. But you keep your yap shut. You don't tell us so. That is the secret. I didn't even tell my husband that stuff. I wanted to, but I didn't. But I didn't even tell my husband. Who the heck's he going to tell? He didn't work for the same company. But I wouldn't even tell him that stuff. I kept that to the chest, And now you're discussing it with clients? I never. So, on that note, I just thought you guys would get a kick out of that one too. Can you even imagine? Like, I'm sorry. I still can't get past it. That's like insanity to me. That you were. Because, like, I understand my aide talking to me about it, because, I mean, not really, but whatever. She doesn't understand some of her paycheck stuff. I do. I get it. She asks questions. I don't give her any advice for things, because like I said, I don't know her pay structure, because every place is different, but she does have questions about the legality of stuff, and I do know the answers to that, because, like I said, I was back on payroll for a big company for a while, and you better believe when you're dealing with salespeople and technicians and things, people that don't make a hourly salary, that you need to get schooled on your payroll laws real fast, because they will, make sure, and they're raring to go if you're screwing them over. So yeah. So I am gonna let you guys go. I appreciate you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope if any of you stayed till the end, God bless. You're my besties. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you ranting, being my little therapist. You know how much it means to me. So I hope, no matter what today brings you, that you have a great day. I hope, or if not, I hope you can take a few minutes for yourself and do something that makes you happy. Puts a smile on your face, puts a smile on somebody else's face. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. And choose love every day. Thanks everybody for joining me. Bye.